Hey, everybody, welcome to What the Flick. Getting to the end point of season 1, the penultimate installment, episode 9, Finish the Song. Tim Frisch, William Bibbiani, Alonso Duralde. A moment of silence for the mayor.
Okay, that actually scene. Now, I know it's Preacher, and a lot of people do terrible and amoral things on Preacher, and honestly, it doesn't even shock me to find out that Emily would do something terrible or immoral. Boy, did it come out of nowhere. He's not like, okay, so Cassidy's injured. First off, she's not a big fan of Cassidy to begin with.
So much.
So it's not like she's doing it for him. She just has any excuse to kill a guy who isn't even that bad to her. Like he's kind of whiny and kind of clingy, but he's not abusive or mean or like, it's not like he won't take a hint. It's just, he's just sort of there. Like it makes her seem really sick, actually.
Okay, good. I was worried it was just me because I kind of always liked the mayor. But yes,
I don't know if I like him. I don't want him to get murdered for no reason.
It seems a little out of nowhere and not in keeping with what we've known about this character up until now. I mean, I guess maybe they're sort of having to speed things up to finish the season out because they only got 10 episodes. But is all of that to say that she really is in love with Preacher and she'll do whatever it takes to like clear that playing field, or what?
I don't know. I can only look at it as sort of a reverse morality play. Just the idea that the people who we think of as pure and most decent are capable of horrible things.
And vice versa.
And vice versa, obviously. Yeah, because again, it's not like Tulip, Preacher, and Cassidy, who are ostensibly our heroes and are, over the course of time going to be, more, hesitate to say heroic, but doing more protagonist-y stuff.
Yeah.
They're going to be capable of doing great things, but we've seen that they're also monsters.
I mean, you've never had like a relationship at like the end, and you needed to break up, but like
you just
knew
killed
it was gonna
them?
be this long, drawn-out thing, and it was like, it was just so much easier if they died,
If I could just feed you to a vampire, we wouldn't have to have all those.
Like
I mean, not
all those
that bad.
opportunities. I never had that.
Those testy dinners.
Fortunately, I haven't.
Okay, well,
Is that a common thing? Don't comment on that. It's probably bad.
I've never had a vampire locked in the bedroom before, so it wasn't really a crime opportunity.
Well, he ain't never lived. The other big I mean, there's a lot to talk about in this episode, but I think the big thing for me was the hell bit.
Yes.
So our angels, first off, that whole bit about having to book travel accommodations to hell, I thought was actually pretty funny.
The great Tara Carcian, a very funny comedian and character actress. I liked her appearance.
20 minutes in the back with him. That's what it takes. But we've been seeing this ongoing flashback, and honestly, it's been taking too long, if you ask me, of a character who I think his full name will be revealed soon. I don't want to ruin it.
Thanks.
But he's... we've seen this horrible situation, this nightmarish scenario,
right.
And then we see at the beginning of this episode that he comes back and exacts horrible retribution on that whole town. And then we have to see it all again, and honestly, it takes a while.
Yeah,
which is kind of a weird choice.
It was really, and they were really testing my patience on that one, and I was like, this had better be going somewhere interesting, and then it did.
It wasn't bold.
And then it did. I was like, nicely played, Preacher. I did not see that coming, and that was spot on. That's right up there with that later Sopranos episode where Tony goes to like Vegas, I think, and like wins at everything, and that in itself is its own brand of hell, basically. I think it's actually
is a Twilight
Zone episode. That was referring directly to. So yeah, the notion that hell is reliving the worst day of your life over and over and over again.
Yeah. And they sold it real well.
Very much so.
Yeah.
I kudos show. That's one of the best gambits they pulled off.
I saw some people had live tweeted that like this had better be going somewhere, and I actually didn't see where they follow up. I hope people appreciated it because that's actually one of the more interesting storytelling experiments I've seen on a TV show in a while, and I think it paid off real well.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. I agree. I was trying to. I was doing some real mental gymnastics to try and figure out the metaphor involved of setting free guinea pigs who don't want to go, and what that had to do with like man and religion or something. And I let it go. I didn't get anywhere with it.
I read it that she cared just a little bit more about two guinea pigs than she did about her boyfriend.
Well, there's that too.
That's
sure,
very true. I mean, you could look at it as sort of the idea of you could be free from a situation in which you are basically nothing. You're meat. You're part of a cog in a machine. but you don't know any better. And I guess you could argue that there's some sort of larger metaphor there about religious dogma, but
It's more comfortable to be in the box with the wood shavings than out in a chaotic universe that has no moral compass.
and I think we've all felt that way once in a while.
Sure.
I don't know. I wonder if you might be overthinking that one just a smidge.
I think I might be, but
I think you've got the point. I think there's an irony there about
that she
affection
was
for
more
human
concerned with
life.
them. No, totally.
Yeah.
Yes.
God, it's disgusting. I loved the reunion of Jesse and Cassidy. One, because we found out that Jesse did put him out.
Mm-hmm.
That's nice.
That's what mattered.
That's somewhat. It's redeeming. But I got to tell you something. Joseph Gilgan gave a great performance in that bit under a lot of makeup. He was managed to be scary and vulnerable at the same time. There was a sense of like shame and friendship and awareness of his own horror that I thought was a really fabulous performance. He's been kind of the MVP of the show for me for a while.
Yeah, no, he's and that's a role that I think loans itself to a lot of mainly just being the comic relief in a lot of ways, which is challenging and difficult and no easy feat for an actor to pull off. But yeah, this one sort of allowed him to kind of get into some other areas with that.
Yeah.
I agree. He's terrific. Sheriff, clearly out of his depth in many ways.
What was weird for me, okay, so he goes into the room, he sees obviously this horrifying murder scene. And then there's the angel, he doesn't know it's an angel, and she's got her arms and legs cut off, and she says, "Kill me." And he does.
Yes.
Which there's a lot going on there. On one hand, it's mercy. On the other hand, he obviously had to get something out of his system.
Yeah.
But what I thought was most fascinating about that is when she comes back right behind him, and he doesn't even get to know that he didn't just kill somebody.
He's left with that.
He's just left with that. That is terrifying to me. Just the idea that you could be let off the hook for something terrible, and
not.
the universe won't, or heaven won't, or something. You're just stuck with it.
Well, and then at the beginning of the episode, he's got that whole monologue about where he's all mad at Preacher about what happened to Arseface and what they do to guys like you in prison, basically, which is the inevitable speech. But is incapable of keeping him in the car.
Yeah. So does Kincannon have like a fight club?
I was wondering about that too. They were just bored. I couldn't tell.
I don't know. I feel like we probably could have had another line in there, like whoever wins this fist fight gets the big promotion or something.
Yeah.
Like
I sort of like it that it was nothing.
Yeah,
It was just
the
like a
business
slice
as
of life
usual,
at Kincannon Meat and Power. This is
just
what
another
we do.
Tuesday.
And the mayor is there inexplicably watching it. And
So we got Tulip in Albuquerque.
Right.
Made a left turn. No, she just stayed in Albuquerque.
Right. She did not take a left turn.
She did not take a left turn. She stayed
went
in
right
Albuquerque. There's that bit where she left. It's like, I'm gonna go kill a man in Albuquerque. Is that a Johnny Cash song? I don't know.
It does. It is very C&W, that whole line.
It very, very much is. So how do we feel about that? I mean, obviously we knew she was gonna do it, but the idea that do you think she's gonna have a change of heart because she didn't actually go through with it yet in this
she's
episode?
got the meat tenderizer in her hand.
Right.
Was she listening to Jesse's message as he was leaving it?
No, I think
Or
that
that
was
was
a
just
misdirect.
I think it was later.
I think that was like the end of Silence of the Lambs, where you think everything's taking place in the same place, but it's not.
I think she's listening to it as she is about to deliver or not deliver the death blow. She may well have a change of heart. Maybe she's waiting for Jesse to join her. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know, because she's been going through a lot. And I think it's interesting to see how, because when she started off on the show, she was very much just unapologetic criminal, very gung-ho, killed a bunch of people right at the beginning. And her whole mission has been to go find someone to kill him and to convince her ex-boyfriend, lover, best friend to help her. And while she's been here, though, she has spent more time with Emily and her family. She has befriended Cassidy to the point where she will take care of him in a way much like her comatose grandfather, uncle, and
Uncle Walter.
Uncle. Yeah. So do you think she's growing as a person and then that's the only way she can go? Or do you think she's got to be this sort of badass rock?
Well, remind me what the guy did that she's killing. Like he betrayed.
Well, he was
a
the
big heist.
getaway driver, right?
Oh,
And he
right.
left
Oh,
without
yeah.
them.
Yes.
Which, in my mind, is not the craziest betrayal. If a heist goes bad,
but that's not good.
no, it's not good.
Shitty, but it's not necessarily a murderable. I don't know.
Well, we'll say maybe there were more consequences to it than that. I mean, obviously they're not in jail. But
Right.
something bad must have happened. Otherwise, you know,
Yeah.
that's more of a beat the shit out of you offense.
Sure.
So I wonder if there's more to it, because this is a show with a lot of flashback material.
Oh yeah. No, I always open to the idea like there's more to be explained here. Also now with the angels in hell.
Wait, before you
What's-
get there.
oh, yeah, sorry.
Did you like where they got picked up in the van?
Is that
It's
from Breaking Bad?
Yeah.
Okay, I
Same
thought
place.
so.
Same
Yeah,
place
that
with
was
the
cute.
same van. Yeah.
That was cute. Yeah, sorry, I forgot to mention that. Good call.
Although that was in New Mexico in Breaking Bad, and they're supposed to be in Texas.
Was it
but
just me,
whatever.
or did I miss something? It looked like at the last shot of that, Fior's case vanished.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
It
I
looked
didn't
like there was a
notice.
wide shot. He left his case behind with all his comics. I can't help but wonder what he's been collecting over the years. And then there was like then they cut away to like sort of a perpendicular shot of looking down the street, but you could see the sidewalk, and I didn't see the case. And I thought maybe did I miss something? Is that just a weird angle?
Maybe
If you missed something, I missed two things.
yeah.
Neat.
Maybe their stuff is so ephemeral that it doesn't exist in the earthly plane for real.
Maybe,
I
yeah.
don't know.
I don't know. It's very odd.
Anyway, so they're in hell. What is their mission to get someone or get some? Does this tie into getting the thing out of the preacher?
They need to kill Jesse, because that was the thing. If you look at the beginning of the series, the first episode, Genesis was going into different men and or women of God.
Right.
And they kept exploding, and Genesis went to another one.
Right.
So presumably if Jesse dies, Genesis goes somewhere else and they can capture it again. Because they won't leave him. So they have to kill him.
So why go to hell to do that?
Because I think they need the cowboy, as we'll call him for now,
It seemed
to
like
be
they
their.
should just be able to kill him. Like,
You'd
I know
think.
lots of people have had trouble with that.
Have they killed a person yet?
Have the angels?
Have they killed a
What
human
are they
being?
capable of that?
No.
They've slaughtered angels many times, and they
Yeah.
fought Cassidy.
Yeah.
And I think that they were going to try to kill Jesse.
They had the
That one-
chainsaw.
they had the
That was the
chainsaw.
first time that Jesse
Right.
hit
Yeah,
them.
so I don't know. There's a good question there. I think maybe they also need the cowboy to help them fight off, the angels preventing them from
I mean,
doing what they're doing.
they also said there was another way to get someone out of hell.
Oh, well, they clearly have one if they're
right.
going to get the cowboy
yeah,
out.
the other thing is like, is this mission somehow going to involve liberating Arseface?
Yeah, I wouldn't think so. They didn't seem too interested in that at the end.
I don't
But then
think they
why go to
care.
hell?
It seems awfully convenient. Like
Yeah, I
there's too
thought
many.
so.
There's too many characters there. I can't imagine them not bumping into each other.
It's interesting because in the comic, I'll just say this much: in the comics, the whole getting him out of hell thing is in there. Arseface going to hell is not. So they're going to have to make a new connection there
All right.
that wasn't in there. And it would be perfectly logical if they did.
Okay.
But that actually would be new.
But this show has already started straying some from the.
Somewhat, yeah. We're first season. I think we still haven't gone much beyond the first 6 issues of the comic.
Okay.
So there's a lot of they've shown us a bit more flashback stuff, I think, than we had seen at that point in the comic. But for the most part, it's pretty tidy. They've set up a few, like that guy in the white hat at the like the snuff film festival. That guy, I don't think that guy is important later. But
About that guy.
What about him?
he's important later, but we have not got. I don't
he's
think we're
got
going to
a
get to him this. If we get to him this season, I suspect that will be the
Tulip's
end
map
of the
has
episode.
completely not been mentioned in
Right?
weeks.
Yeah, I suspect if we get to
Explode
that,
a
that'll be
helicopter
the,
for that.
That'll be like the cliffhanger. We got to do it.
Well, it's 10 episodes. I think we're getting kind of a quick dusting of Preacher, and then obviously season 2 will take us in deeper to the mythos. Right?
Well, I hope so, honestly, because they have to leave.
I
have not been bothered by staying in Anvil for a while, but they have to go now. They have to move on because there's so much else to explore just in the universe of Preacher.
I have not. I don't tend to follow the news about this kind of stuff, but it's sort of filtered out that the numbers on this show are terrible. Like,
Well, I don't know about terrible. They're not like Mad Men good or anything. They're not Walking Dead good.
I see.
But you know what? Turn didn't have good numbers either, which is one of the reasons why we stopped reviewing it.
Yeah.
But it got in the second season. I think AMC, kind of like HBO, pretty committed to most of their shows. Like they really do think they can build an audience for them. They're not just like throwing stuff at a wall. They only do like so many new shows a year.
Right, and I'm sure in this case, there's probably, anything that's comic book related probably has strong sort of ancillary kind of the Blu-ray sell or the digital whatever sells, And, they, I'm sure, would like to be in the Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg business long term, so that even if this one maybe doesn't pan out, those guys will bring him something else, and then that one will hit or whatever.
It might also behoove them to keep DC and Vertigo happy, because that is also a font of material. Lucifer, which is an okay show. It's not really worth reviewing here. It's not that deep, but it's okay. That's also based on a Vertigo series.
Oh,
there's a lot of great comics. I've read the Lucifer.
Yeah.
I think I read the first couple, and then I just didn't get too into it.
Yeah,
but
the trailers didn't look anything like the comics, so I didn't give it a chance.
It got into a pretty standard, it's Lucifer, and he teams up with a cop to solve crimes. And I'm like, really? If you've got Lucifer as the star of your show, and you're gonna have him solve mysteries, there's so much more you could do with that concept. We're getting off track. My point is that I think AMC has a lot of stake in this beyond mere ratings, and I think all of them are good reasons to continue the show for a bit. Not the least of which because I think the show is pretty good.
Okay then. All right. Well, we'll certainly do that, and we'll be back next week with more. Thanks.